What sort of things, I guess, maybe when you're in conversations with marketers who want to use motion, who want to do a podcast, but need to be equipped with maybe the right talking points or the right things to say to gain internal buy-in? Like, I'm sure you've heard that through all of your conversations. Any pieces of advice you have to anyone who's currently in that position?
Yeah, there are a couple things that we do. One is relatively new, and then the other one is kind of like a, a toolkit almost. So we have um, a like the jumping off point of a strategic action plan. It's basically a workbook, and it's an exercise that you can go through to answer a lot of the questions or internally brainstorm a lot of the things that we do during discovery and a strategic action plan development. So when a customer comes to us or a prospect comes to us and they're like, hey, just like you mentioned, I like everything about a podcast, but I'm still trying to sell this internally. The CEO or the CMO is not quite bought in yet. It's not at the level of priority that I want it to be. How can I nudge it a little higher in the list? And we find that having a more clear strategy often helps. You have something down on paper. It's like, here's what the podcast will do. Here's how it serves us in the major goals of our organization. Here how it's going to help me grow as a marketer, help our marketing team. Here's how it's going to help us work across the organization. So a lot of that is built into that toolkit that we provide. And then the second one is what we call a podcast competitive benchmark report. It's something new that we're working with, and it includes a combination of like keyword research, Spark Toro research, also just like manual research where we're going in and trying to understand the competitive landscape. So that's a hurdle that a lot of people are trying to overcome. Is all right, my CMO and CEO, they're sort of bought in, but they don't know what this thing is yet and how it will stand apart from what's already out there. We don't want to do the same thing everyone else is doing, but we do want to do a podcast, so help us. And that's where we start to do some of that research, and we're basically going out and getting the lay of the land. So what are your customers listening to? What are they watching? What are they reading? Where are they hanging out online? What types of shows exist already? Where can that open space be for your company to live in, and how can you create a show that is different? So those are the two big things that we help folks with when they're not quite bought in yet internally. It's that strategy piece and trying to lay the groundwork there, and then that competitive landscape, trying to get a sense of what exists out there already.
I love it. We all have blind spots as marketers. One of my blind spots is certainly SEO. I rely on other people way smarter than me to help me understand our SEO and how it works. And the one benefit just in the personal use case that I'll say is like the relationship building, the streamlining of content, like all of those things were like no brainer. Start a podcast. But the thing I didn't realize, and you kind of take a step back when you're doing a podcast a couple times a week, all of a sudden your keywords of things like content distribution, like the show title, Modern Day Marketer, you hit Google with those. And because you are publishing posts with the podcast episodes a couple times a week, every week, that Google starts to like that, and that stuff starts to add up. And then all of a sudden you look and you've got a snippet on Google and you're just owning the space. And that was something that to me was like, I hadn't even thought about it up until just doing a quick Google search and being like, you know what, how are we showing up here now? And just, I was by images, listings, like just completely overwhelmed. So I love that call out. And I just think it's a good way to, if you're looking for another angle, SEO has become something every marketing team thinks about. And I think it could be a good layer in when you're trying to pitch it internally.
Yeah, definitely. And I find there are some customers that we have that are really good at that. But I feel like, even if you are SEO driven, if that is a big part of your strategy, having a podcast can help that content have like a different depth to it. You're pulling in experiences from other people. So it's not just a regurgitation of the top 5 articles that already exist out there for a particular search term, you're providing something different when people land on that blog post, and they're trying to get an answer to their question, but then also understand how other people are doing it and what their perspectives are. And I feel like that's a highly underrated part of podcasting for sure.